Alright, good afternoon. We're going to pick up on this video, right where we left off on the other one. We're going to continue talking a little bit about fetching, and then we're going to go into the driving aspect. Anyway, so a little bit of troubleshooting. Let's say that you have a dog that you send them, and they go, and for whatever reason, they're not quite making it to balance. They're coming up short. Now, there's a variety of different reasons that this happens. One of them may be that your stock is just taking off and coming to you too soon. And if this happens, if you send the dog out and he gets over here and your stock is already running to you, well, he's just going to come up short. So eventually, if you keep doing that and letting that happen, when you go to stock that doesn't automatically start running, well, he gets out here and he comes up short and doesn't make it. So on that deal, you either need to get different stock or figure out something, throw out a little bit of grain for them or something, so that they'll stay put until the dog can get around them properly. Sometimes different stock is the only way to go. Alright, so let's say that's not your problem. Your sheep are kind of hanging out over here. Your dog is coming up short. Maybe he's got a little too much eye and he's slowing down and turning in here. Or maybe he's a little bit worried. Maybe he doesn't quite understand this balance, or he's the type of dog that is worried about taking control or doesn't understand that he should take control. Some dogs, they just don't quite get that. So what we're going to do in that case is, first of all, usually speed the dog up. If we get him moving a little faster, sometimes he'll go ahead and just swoom and just make it on around there, Just encourage him and shush him on there. And that's part of how the figure 8 deal works that we talked about the last time, where you have the fence and you send the dog, between the fence and he arcs out here. Basically what we're doing is just like squirting him out here, and usually a dog that's coming out of that pressure here just zooms off and just, it just catapults them forward and they make it around here. And that's part of what that figure 8 deal is doing. So sometimes that helps, just speeding the dog up. Other times, what we'll do, say he's coming up a little short, we've sent the dog around here, and he's coming up a little bit short here. What we'll do is we'll just go ahead and walk over here. We'll go ahead and walk over here and put the dog on balance, to show him where he should be and how it should look. Because sometimes, especially like with a dog that's worried about taking control, he's just not quite sure. And if we set the picture up correctly, where he goes, oh, I've got a hold of the sheep, they're not going anywhere. This feels right, because this being in control and being on balance will feel right to the dog. And once we set that picture up, a lot of times the dog will just start hunting for that spot then. We've showed him what it should look like, then he'll start looking for it on his own. Sometimes that works really well. Now, let's say something else I may do with a dog. We're sending him out this way and he comes in. Sometimes I'll go ahead and walk right in here to the sheep and fuss at him and make him turn his head out and try again. Go ahead, break out. Woo, spinning dog, break out and try again. And if I get him to flank better, and we might just step back here and set him on balance. Sometimes that can help, and we may do that several times where the dog is coming, well, he comes up a little short. We'll go ahead and follow him just a little bit and push on him and get him to break out, and then a lot of times I'll step back. Oh, I have a puppy assistant here who is making a mess of my cue cards. Whoops. Alright, well anyway, that's what we're going to talk about as far as the fetching deal, and we will move on to driving now. As far as the driving stuff, you know, we're going to first talk about starting a dog driving. And one of the important things about this, first of all, is if you're going to start them this way, you're going to need somewhere with a fence, preferably probably a smallish pen, where we can keep control of the stock. We don't want to use stock that's going to run off. If the stock is always, you know, zooming off, and we're keeping the dog back here in a driving position, well, for one thing, we're building anxiety. You know, he's like, oh my God, the stock is getting away, and all we're doing is telling him, no, you can't go stop them. Well, we're frustrating the dog. We're building tension in the dog. We're telling him not to head stock that's running away. And some dogs will take that very seriously. If you do that too much with them, they'll go, okay, I'm not supposed to stop stock that's running, so I'm not going to. So when your stock runs off, well, good luck, because he's just going to let him go. So anyway, the other thing, when we start like this, a lot of times we'll start the dog on a rope and hold him on a rope. And a couple of things about this. The main reason that you're starting this way is to get some obedience on the dog, you know, before you turn him loose. So all this beginning stuff is obedience, working on lie down, making the dog down the moment you tell him, walk up, and to control your emotions. You know, the dog should be relaxed, and he should be content to move back here with you. You and him are working together, walking into the stock. You know, a dog that's excited, you're going to tell him to chill out, and sometimes that just may be laying the dog down, letting him relax before you ask him up. Other times that may be chewing the dog out, Ben Mean style or whatever. But so we set up this basic picture. And another thing to keep in mind, you know, when you're walking along the fence right here, this is never a flank. This is always walk up. You're always asking the dog to walk up. When you're doing this deal in a pen, now when you want to switch directions, bring the dog behind you, make him turn his eyes off and release and come behind. So you and he move together to change the direction of the stock and then go the other direction. But he's always going to be on the fence side. Dog always on the fence side. This just kind of limits where he can go. And again, like I said, this is just obedience. Once you get a decent obedience on the dog, once the dog will listen to you when you tell him to down, then you can go ahead and cut him loose and work on other things. But this, remember, flanking deal behind you, make him break out, because this is going to translate later to you sending him by himself. But he can't, if you let him try and come this way, to flank around, you know, your body is pushing him into the stock, and we don't want that. We want him to break out, release his eye, and come around. That's basic starting. I don't usually start this way. For one, it just bores me to death. But it's not the worst way to start ever. I'm a little ADD, and this is just like really boring. But it can be a way to get a good handle on a dog, and that's okay. So I guess I could talk a little bit, you know, because that is balance, and you're setting up this balance of pressure of taking the stock away. It's not balance to you, it's balance. I usually think of it as like balance to the corner. We're walking to the corner, and we're taking the stock to the corner. Always have a destination in mind here. And then when you let him go around, you'll switch that over to balance to you. But anyway, that works. Here is balance in driving as far as other things. And this is how I'll do with a young dog. And I still have a fence, usually, even if I'm out in the field. I like to use the fence a lot. And I'll kind of introduce driving to the young dog. You know, he'll be loose, but I'll flank him around here to the fence and have him stop. And I'll come on up here with him and ask him to walk up. And we're basically just driving the stock across, even though I might be way out here. You know, my pressure out here is keeping the dog from deciding he should flank around. And we're driving to a place. And we may go a short distance and then we'll flip. And the other thing is, once I have a dog that I can lay him down consistently, and you know, I've done all the fetching stuff, now we're going to drive a little bit, you know, I lay him down, I walk up here with him, and I'll walk up in the stock and I'll ask him to walk with me. He'll be behind me, either behind or kind of to the side, and we walk up. Now, let's say your stock starts to drift this way, and this is another thing, always pick a destination. Must have a destination, or you have no balance. So we're going to teach the dog to drive to that destination. Anyway, say your stocks start to drift down this way, I will step this way and open the position for the dog to flank a little bit this way, and then I'll stop him. I don't want him to go all the way around. I'll stop him and ask him to walk up again, and I'm walking up too. The dog is walking. Let's say the sheep go this way. I will step this way and have the dog come. It's basically just like any other thing. We're opening up a position for the dog to move. So to hold that right spot, we just set ourselves up in the correct position. And we don't, you know, when we begin, the reason we have the dog behind us is because a lot of times if we have him up here, for one, when we need to change directions here, our sheep is going this way. If we're back here, well, our body positioning, we can't, it's really difficult to, the dog doesn't understand where he needs to go. Chances are, if our sheep are drifting this way and we're back here, well, the dog's just going to want to go around and fetch to balance. But if we're in front of the dog, you know, we can keep him from doing that. We'll step up here, and here's the open path, so he should come here. When you do this, you need a dog that you can stop him at this point. He doesn't have to understand flanks yet and anything like that, but he does have to stop when you tell him to. You know, we start this way, and this way, I'm not telling the dog which way to go. I'm setting it up body language, which way to go, and we're holding that position, and then we'll do that a little ways, and then I'll let him go around. But this is teaching him to hold the stock somewhere. And a lot of times I'll start this out, you know, at the end of a session, when we're gonna go put the sheep in a different pen. I'll set it up so our destination is the pen, me and the dog get them up there, the sheep go in the pen, and we're done. Ta-da! The dog accomplished something. He kind of understood that, hey, we're going somewhere in particular. There's a point to this. So sometimes that helps, having a point to this. And this is a little bit more advanced than all of the other stuff that we've talked about. And so this may be something you'll want to revisit much later. But this is how I start them out driving. You know, me kind of walking with the dog and helping him out. Eventually, you know, he'll wind up beside me. And once we get to that point where I'm letting him come up beside me, and it may be pretty quick and it may take a while with some dogs, then I can affect his position that way. But I have to be able to down him so I can walk to kind of help him. Your body pressure is a big part of that, and that's actually going to be the next topic for our next video. It's going to be all about pressure and flight zones, and how the different pressures from you, the dog, and the stock all interrelate. And all that good stuff. So anyway, I think we're gonna stop right there. If you have any questions, let me know. If there's a particular topic that you want me to cover, let me know. I think I have some video of this driving thing, and I'll see if I can't get that found, and I'll link that, so that might help a lot on this type of deal. As far as the other driving deal, we're talking about starting a dog driving before you do fetching stuff. There's several really good videos, training videos that people have put out. Ben Means, and I'll give you a link to his site, is a good one, or Lynn Dalton. And I'm not sure if there's still Lynn videos available, but I will give you some contact information there also.